Hi everybody, I'm Shelley Tougas, Director of the Hudson Area Public Library, and we're here with our River Channel segment, Books Are Just the Beginning. I have staff with me today because we're going to talk about some cool new things we're doing at the library as well as winter reading. And you probably recognize some of the faces: Joan Bushman, Camille Young, and Sarah Eral. I think we've all been on one of these segments together at a different time. Mm-hmm. So we're totally comfortable. This is not weird for anybody at all, right? Right. So it's winter reading program time. We'll talk about that. But first I want to talk about two new book clubs we have going on that are really fun and unique. And I'm really excited to hear about how they got started and what you're going to do with them. So I think we'll start with Joan has started a new book club. It's actually a cookbook club.
Right, so it's a cookbook book club, doesn't have an official name yet. I was going to call it potluck, but that makes it sound
Like
a little more casual, like a potluck. And really I'm thinking that we're going to focus every month on a single cookbook. So the idea is we select a cookbook and people bring in a dish, something that they've made from that cookbook, and we all sample the food and sit around and chat. So I don't know, Let's Dish is maybe a title, we're not sure. So the first cookbook, the book club will start March 13th, so it'll start in March. The first book I've selected is Smitten Kitchen Recipes. This one is by Deb Perlman. There's a lot of good choices in here. I love falafel.
Why did you pick this one?
Well, I've selected 5 for the year, and they're pretty popular cookbooks. They're general cookbooks, they're popular cookbooks. So Smitten Kitchen is one of them, and you've probably heard there's other Smitten Kitchen cookbooks, not just this Keepers one. Another book is Modern Comfort Food by Ina Garten. She's also a really popular author. Half-Baked Harvest, super simple. Half-Baked Harvest has other books. Dinner in One by Melissa Clark, which I also brought. And then Martha Stewart's The Cookbook, which we won't do till November. That's a newish one, and it has lots of holds on it. So, what else about it? So everybody makes something. We're hoping to get a variety of things, and so we're going to set up either an email or a Google Doc or something where you can tell us what you're bringing so we don't have duplicates. Hopefully we'll get a dessert, an entree, a salad, appetizer, that kind of thing. Different staff will be participating in this book club.
Ooh,
maybe Sarah at some point, or yeah, Shelley. I mean, if you're interested in the book, you can always join, so you don't have to come for every one or whatever. So
you have, like, I think the best brownies, best brownie recipe I've ever had, and I love to bake brownies, and I cannot compare. So are you going to be focusing on desserts yourself?
Maybe. That's a great idea. I mean, I do like to bake probably more than I like to cook. So
your
maybe.
Husband's a great cook. Maybe he could cook your
My husband can make certain dishes.
Okay.
Very
so
well.
We don't trust him for everything.
And I'm not sure. No, actually, give him a recipe and he'll probably do pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a no pressure thing. Like, you're not there to, like, completely, you
Oh, we're not going to judge people's,
You're not Paul Hollywood?
no. Okay. I don't even know who Paul Hollywood is.
because some people might come in with their
Great British
recipe
Baking.
Oh,
and
sorry.
be like, I really don't like this recipe.
Right, absolutely. And you can modify a recipe too, like it's not, you don't have to be exact. And we'll have some little forms that you can fill out there telling what the modification is, what you made, and what the modification is. I did get this idea from another library, Altoona. Shout out to Martha at Altoona, who gave me a lot of great information about their book club, their cookbook book club, which they do cookbooks and cards. So maybe we'll add some other component to this. I don't know. It's the first year. We're giving it a try. Next year, I'm hoping we can get more specialty cookbooks, maybe do ethnic. We could do a just baking, which leads me to Sarah, who's got a suggestion what she would do if she was doing this book club, or maybe something we'll do next year.
Yes.
Okay, what did you bring and why?
Well, we were asked to scheme about, what we could pick if we were going to lead or, go to a session of this cooking book club, and I did pick a baking book. This is Baking Yesteryear by Dylan Hollis of TikTok fame. That's where he got his start. During the pandemic, he started digging through all his old cookbooks and finding out that some of the recipes were really awesome and some of them were really not. And so he has put together all of those recipes from the 1900s to the 1980s. It's a great little trip through history. It's also very entertaining. He's an entertaining person. And it's a nice way to probably go through a book club because there will be a lot to talk about.
So
with
is
one
it
of
like the
these.
tuna in the Jello mold kind of recipes?
There's a couple.
Yeah, that's a thing, Camille. Look at me like you made that up. No, that was a thing.
No, this has got. It's mostly. It's called the best recipes.
Okay, so
But then he has a Hall of Fame at the end of the worst recipes that he made.
Okay.
So
that sounds
you
really
could choose
fun.
to make one of those if you really wanted to, but maybe not. Yeah, so that would be. I think that would be a fun one.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
And you brought a cookbook too, Camille?
I did. I just brought Antony Let's Do Dinner by Antony Porowski from Queer Eye. And he's got good food. He's Polish. I'm Polish. I like Polish food. And this is one of 2 cookbooks he has. So if you end up liking this one, you'll like his other one.
I just don't think about Polish food as being a category that people are excited about. Am I being unfair?
It's not the most exciting, but he puts like a spin on certain things, like potato pancakes and stuff like that.
Polish sausage is incredible.
Yeah.
I forgot my cookbook at home.
That's okay.
So we don't have to talk about it, but I just will say the name because I love it so much. It's Moosewood. It's a Moosewood cookbook.
It's a great cookbook.
Yeah, it's their low-fat favorite. So it's from that period of time where, let's make everything as low-fat as possible. And it's also vegetarian, so that's to have really good recipes that have no meat and are low-fat. Kudos, right?
Exactly.
So-
Yeah, that would actually be a really good choice, a classic
Yeah.
cookbook, Moosewood.
Good, good.
I didn't mention that my brownie recipe is from The Perfect Recipe by Pam Anderson. We don't actually have that cookbook in the system, I'm so sorry to say, but we have other ones by Pam Anderson in the system, so it's really great.
Well,
So I do chewy, cakey brownies.
It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's great
So-
to talk about food. We all love food, right?
Yeah, I'm getting
Yes.
hungry now. So maybe we talk about something else.
Yes.
So our other new book club, which we've now had 2 sessions that people might know about, Camille came up with, and it's called Not Your Mother's Book Club. So tell us why it's not our mother's book club.
So it is called Not Your Mother's Book Club because the books that are chosen for this book club have what people online call spice, or what people who aren't on Book Talk would call like a sexy scene. That's maybe for patrons that are 18 plus, which happens to be a requirement for coming to this book club. You do have to be over the age of 18. And a really fun part, talking about food, is we always have charcuterie boards at this cookbook club. At this book club, Sarah makes all of our charcuterie boards.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
They're
so
all
beautiful,
themed.
too.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
That was a fun, sort of like how book clubs change over time, like yours might. I mean, I made one for the first one and thought, this would be fun and we could theme them. So, for example, you brought April's, didn't you, for...
I did. I brought April's book. It's Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, and it's about 2 serial killers falling in love.
How romantic. Anyway, it's supposedly a pretty gory one. So, for all of these books, take into account any issues you might have
Check
with the
the
content.
warnings.
And so in this case, I thought, we could do a non-alcoholic Bloody Mary bar. Just do all the
So
toppings
fun.
you could
That's
possibly
disgusting,
think of.
actually.
But so fun.
But good, but
These 2
appropriate.
clubs. The serial killers cookbooks.
Yes. But yeah, and then there's one about the Secret Society of Tea and Treason, and that one has tea in the title, so we'll be doing full high tea for that one.
Fun.
Yeah.
So do you want people to sign up ahead of time, or is it just get the book, show up if you can?
Just get the book and show up if you can. As long as you're above the age of 18, everyone's welcome, and yeah, we'll have a fun time.
And you can be a mother?
You can be a mother. We have people of all ages that have come to our previous meetings, and it's great to hear everybody's different thoughts on things.
Yeah, we had 4 or 5 decades represented, which was awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
And by the way, all of the dates and information you can look on our Facebook page or the website on the events calendar. And we also
Brochure in the
have handy-dandy
library.
brochures and flyers
Yes.
everywhere in the building. Or just call. We still answer the phone. So real people answer the phone. Okay, and so we brought some recommendations that
Yeah,
we
we-
would give for you.
Yes, so my recommendation is a book by Kimberly Lemming called That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. And
Wow.
it is part of a series called the Mead Mishap series.
Okay.
And it's just good fun. As the title implies, our main character realizes she's about to be the victim of a love potion. And so she takes her drink and she throws it, and it happens to hit our main hero, and he happens to be a werewolf.
Cool.
And
As you
it's
do.
good fun. So
I think I just ordered the next one in that series.
the
too.
third one, yeah.
It's fun. It's fun.
And what was the first 2 books in your club?
The first 2 books we read, we read Bride by Allie Hazelwood, which was a vampire and werewolf one. And then we also have read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, which was an ice skating romance.
Okay.
So we've got a mix of fantasy and contemporary.
And my daughter, who is 20 and wants to come to your book club, said Bride, and she goes, Mom, do not read Bride. I'm like, okay, because I can't handle it apparently. So
Yeah.
You can't both go to the book club, then.
No,
can you imagine?
No, I'm
Yeah.
not allowed. So,
Understandable.
so do you have a recommendation for Camille on Not Your Mother's Book selection?
I did bring a couple, just because we've also talked about in this book club, the level of how much you wouldn't want your mother to be at the same book club. And of course, there's different levels, and everyone has different thresholds of where they think, this is not that spicy, so to speak, or it's very.
It's sort of like your taste buds in salsa. Like
Yep.
what, it's all different.
Exactly. So I brought 2. One of them is the Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. I picked this one because we are doing an India Holton book in October, I believe. Not this one, but this is just a very fun comedic time, but I wouldn't call it super spicy. There are a couple of scenes that would rank as graphic, which is why it would be a contender for this book club, but that's it. However, I also read last year A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsky, which is the first in a trilogy. Freya's not messing around. But it is also a very fun setting. It's, I think 1800s, alternate universe England, so there's a little bit of magic, feels very Jane Austen. But there are far more scenes than in India Holton. So we'll
Jane
run the
Austen,
gamut.
Super spicy with some fantasy elements.
Yes. Yep.
And fantasy is a genre, not fantasy.
Yes.
Or fantasy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
We do know what you mean.
you know
Yes.
what I mean.
But those are the 2 recommendations that I brought.
Did you bring a
Not
spice?
for Not Your Mother's, no. Well, if I was to pick anything, though, I've heard great things about a book called All Fours by Miranda July. It was, it's been on a lot of the best of lists from last year, from 2024.
Okay.
But, I'm not really into that genre, so.
Joan got a hold of the book and opened it and then said no.
Opened it at random to a scene, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this for a book club.
That's
Fair.
why it's great there's so many book
Yes,
clubs.
yes.
You can go to ones that
Yes.
appeal to you.
Yes.
And just summarize the other 2 book clubs we've had for a very long time. We have Novel Bunch.
So we have Novel Bunch. Yeah.
Bookmarks is another club that always meets the library. And so and they do more general fiction, some nonfiction. Is that how you would sort of
Right,
describe?
Bookmarks does both fiction and nonfiction. They're not library run, but they meet at the library.
And we help them coordinate the
Right,
books.
and they meet in the morning, like at 10:30, I think. So quite a few people. It's been around for a long time. So that's a very popular book club. I don't have their dates or anything, but again, just check the website, check the calendar. And then Novel Bunch has also been around for several years. A nice little flyer here. Different librarians lead this club, usually fiction. Next month's selection, which is going to be on February 12th. Actually, that might be this month by the time people see this. But South of Luck by Jim Gould, and he is actually a Hudson author who has published a couple books, and he's going to come in and run the book club for us. So that will be really fun.
He is a wonderful author, and we get to feel a little of his fame and energy because he writes at the library a lot,
Correct.
which is super fun.
Yep, feel connected.
So the one that I would recommend, I didn't want to do Spice. If I did, I probably would have said Outlander series, just because the TV second half of season 7 just ended, and season 8, which is the end of the show, is probably coming in a few months to a year. But I love this book. I love to hate this book. I hate to love this book. Ill Will by Dan Schoen. It is dark and creepy, and also has some very interesting like literary techniques, writing in strange columns, and like I'll just show you, like this is how some of the
interesting.
story is told. And the ending just made my brain melt and put it down, and like I cannot think about this, but I think about it. And if a book does that to you, you know, that says something. So if you're
Really
like,
has an impact, yeah.
a lot of people in the winter are like, oh, what's a good beach read or something light? And when I'm in the winter, I'm like, bring me the darkness. That's just how I feel. And so a very good potential for your book club. It's also kind of long.
Yeah, we try to watch that.
Yeah. Kids these days.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Camille brought March's book, didn't you?
I did, yeah. March's book for Novel Bunch is Starling House
Okay.
by Alex E. Harrow. I have not read it yet. I know you've read it,
Fabulous.
but neither of us are running the March meeting.
No.
But you might go anyway.
But I will
so,
be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a fabulous, fabulous
Yeah.
book.
What a great cover.
I know, but look, also the
Sprayed edges.
pages, they're
Yeah.
purple. I love it.
Yes. So, yeah, that's what we'll be reading in March if you can't make it to the February one.
Okay. So we're also deep into the winter reading program at the library, which runs through March 7th. And it's so easy because you come, you get a little slip, you write your name, contact info, and the book you read, put it in a jar, and then at the end, we draw for prizes for local businesses.
Right.
So,
The more you read, the more chances you have to win.
yes, and there's some great prizes. And we always have really great prizes.
We have
and,
lots of great local businesses, so
Yeah.
we just got gift cards from local businesses. That'd be great.
So we also decided we would bring a winter read recommendation. So let's wrap up with those. If somebody came up to us and said, I'm in the winter reading program and I want a recommendation.
Sure.
Sarah.
Well, this might go against the strategy of do as many entries as you can to win.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
However, my winter reading is, can I dive into something really thick? So maybe it's a history book. Maybe it's a really thick history, like Civil War history book.
Yes.
In my case, it's like a very thick fantasy book. So Samantha Shannon, this is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which was very successful a few years ago. And her world building is just absolutely fantastic. And I can't really get into that if I'm, laying on a beach somewhere, but in the dead of winter, I 100% want to dig into that sort of thing. So I highly recommend, getting something that you can really sink your teeth into when it's cold and dark.
And if you don't like it, you can use it as a doorstop
Or a
Yeah.
weapon.
or a weapon.
Yeah, it's good. It's good house security.
Not if it's
Yeah.
a library book, though, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Take care of those.
Yeah. Buy your own doorstop.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and your choice.
So I picked a book that I finished like last week called A Well-Trained Wife by Tia
I don't like that
Levine.
title at all.
Well, she didn't either. And that's the point of her memoir. She ended up in an incredibly controlling religious situation. And it's a very intense read. It's not for everybody. It talks about how she ended up in this religion, how she ended up in this terrible marriage, and how she ended up having to escape and go into hiding from her husband and the religion. And
Wow.
it's very harrowing, but it's a very quick read because you just want to know what's going to happen next. And I thought it was really good. But I do have a recommendation if you read this and it's sad. You can also then just read Otter, which is a Juve book about an otter and her exploration of the ocean and fun times she has. So,
I know Catherine Applegate name.
yes.
I was going to say, what other, did she
She's
write?
written pretty much everything. Ivan,
Yes, that's it. About the gorilla.
yeah, the Great, Ivan
Ivan the Great. It's wonderful.
something like that, yes. And she's got a bunch of other books too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, fantastic.
yes.
Because in the children's department, the staff up there are doing chapter book bingo. It's something to get kids excited about reading in the winter. And so I'm participating in that. And so I decided to bring a chapter book, a middle grade book. There are a lot of adults who love young adult fiction. And I'm one of them. I think it's great. But there are also some really incredible middle grade books as well. And if you haven't read a graphic novel, particularly at middle grade, Smile is so funny and so charming. I'm not really a graphic novel reader, and I've kind of had to learn how to read a graphic novel. And that's probably another panel discussion entirely, but I just wanted to go through and I'm just reading the words, and then I have to go, wait a minute, half of this story is told through the images.
But maybe you should show people. Just,
Oh.
I mean the inside,
Inside.
in case they actually aren't familiar with graphic novels.
This is a graphic novel.
A lot of people
Yeah.
refer to them as comics, right?
Right, it's like a comic strip,
Yes.
right?
And when I did stats, like this is like 7% of all of our checkouts are graphic novels, which is like pretty incredible.
Especially for kids. Kids love them.
Kids love them, and adults are kind of starting to learn that these are real books.
Yep.
You know, and I also think so many people, you know, have gone through the braces experience themselves or with their children, and so it's really an amazing story about family and this very typical childhood experience. So I would urge people to give a look. I can never say her name right, Raina
Telgemeier.
Telgemeier also has
Good job, Camille.
several other sisters and Guts, and yes, and she's very popular and highly recommend checking her out. So I think that wraps it up for us. We're really excited about these new book clubs, about winter reading, and pretty soon we'll be talking about summer reading.
Comes around fast.
Check out our website, Facebook for any more information, or give us a call. Love to see you check out some of the new things that we have going on at the library. Thanks. We'll see you next time.